Hi.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Oh, yeah. It's time to get our talk on, my friends. It's Morning Talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley, along with the champions of talk. Good morning, talk champion. Cleo Duke-Wright is in the house. Good morning, Miss Cleo. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. And you?
I'm doing fabulous.
Good.
Fabulous. No complaints. How was your weekend?
Oh, well, busy. Trying to figure out what was I going to do for the days off that I have, but I come to realize I really don't have any days off. That's a fallacy, but how am I going to? I have less to do. Got one thing off that I don't have to do this week, so what can I put in its place? And my body's just saying, you're going to rest. So I get sleepy, so I just get sleepy. So I've been resting, trying to fight the rest to get things done, but I'm not winning that battle. But I'm telling you, I feel much better physically. No aches and pains after 3 or 4 days of resting. I'm not aching like I was before, so that must be part of the problem.
You gotta give your time. You gotta give your body some time to recuperate, restore.
Yes, and I guess I don't do that. So my son and I were having a conversation, and so he was saying, we're capitalists, we're not socialists. And he said, I was a socialist. And I said, I'm not a socialist, I'm a capitalist. And then, but I couldn't give a definition for either one. And then there was communism, and I said, well, I know what communism is. Communism is the government owns everything, makes all the decisions, and you're just there. Well, I think I was closer to the truth, but I really didn't. And I said, he said, well, what is capitalism? I said, capitalism is when you can spend money. You make and spend money, and the people who have the money win, and the people who don't have the money lose. I don't, and I felt like really I couldn't give a really good definition of capitalism except for money, and I couldn't give a good definition of socialism because I thought socialism was everybody sort of lives the same way, and I don't know what socialism is. So those are things I have to kind of look up and get a real clear understanding, because people throw those words around all the time, and how many people really know exactly what those things are?
Well, as you're talking about it, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. I you know what you hear people say, but do we know like what things we always run around talking about actually mean?
I don't know what that means, and I should know what that means because I live in a capitalistic country. All right, so I say, well, then I'm a capitalist. But my son says, no, I think you're more of a socialist.
I don't know. Well, let's.
So I said, well, I'm not a socialist. Whatever it is, I'm not that.
Pull your mic up a little bit.
I'm a capitalist, I guess. But do a lot of us know exactly what that is? Or what it means?
The nice thing about living in this day and age is we can find out.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask the artificial intelligence. Alexa, good morning.
Good morning.
The Islamic holiday of Eid al-Fitr, or the festival of breaking the fast, begins tonight at sundown, marking the end of Ramadan for Muslims around the world. To all those celebrating, I wish you a joyous holiday.
Well, thank you. She's smart. Alexa, what is capitalism?
An economic system is known as capitalism, in which the means of production are owned privately and operate for profit.
That's pretty straightforward. The means of production are owned privately and operate for profit. Profit.
Owned openly.
Owned privately.
Privately.
Right, and profit is the
key.
So it's the key. So you got to be. Which in this country, everything is about money. Everything's about profit.
So that's actually who we are.
We are a capitalistic society.
Okay, what's
private ownership?
Private.
Personal profit. Yeah. Alexa, repeat that.
Sorry, there is nothing to repeat.
Okay, well here we go. Get all technical. Alexa, define capitalism.
An economic system called capitalism is one in which the means of wealth production, distribution, and exchange are primarily owned and controlled by private individuals or corporations. It is contrasted with cooperative or state-owned means of wealth.
So in a more socialist society, the state or communism, the state owns everything. Alexa, define communism.
Communism is usually defined as a theory or system of social organization based on the holding of all property in common, actual ownership being ascribed to the community as a whole or to the state. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for communism.
Give me more definitions for... Alexa, give me more definitions for communism.
Communism is a system of social organization where the state controls all economic and social activity. It is characterized by a totalitarian regime and the principles and practices of the Communist Party. Additionally, communism can also refer to communalism, a theory stating that communes are independent states and a nation is a federation of communes. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for your feedback.
Anytime, whatever I can do to help us together get along, I love AI. One day they're going to take over the world. They will remember these things. Remember when you said you hated us?
Oh my gosh.
And then once they're in charge, they'll remember. Because they remember everything. Alexa, define socialism.
Socialism is a system of social organization in which the group as a whole owns and governs all assets, including land, capital, and labor.
Well, that's nothing like the individuals don't own it. The group owns everything. The group owns everything, and they govern and they do all the whole group.
Yeah, there's many times people refer to what happened in Acts, where they owned everything in common.
Oh, and then he told somebody,
like the church.
Yeah,
a lot of times churches own everything in common. The church owns it, so that the whole group and the members. But yeah. So there's a socialism, capitalism, communism, communes. But when we use these terms, we don't use them in the strictest form or pure definition thereof. So they wind up taking on ideas and notions that don't necessarily reflect it by the definition.
The Republicans always say we're capitalists, and they're always saying the Democrats are socialists. So I could see that the difference now. I could see a little bit of the difference, but
there is more of an idea or a notion among Democrats in terms of the party having much broader control over production. So they dictate many times they want to dictate to companies what they can do, should do. So you have very high regulations. So there's a lot of regulations telling you have to do this way. We're not going to allow you to have a gasoline car. We're going to have an electric car. It's for the common good. But who determines that? The party determines it. They'll say, well, the state, but the state is the part. The states are run. All government in this country is run by the party, either the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. So you have two major parties. So like our government in Hartford is run by the Democratic Party. The party runs the city, and the party puts forth a candidate to run. And there's only one party in control of the city. So the party bosses make major decisions as to how the city is run.
Where do we come in?
Where do we come in? The people come in that they vote for the party's candidate. And they are detached. This is why it's important that you have your Democratic town committee members. Because the town committee is it's the lifeblood of the party, because they nominate the candidates. And the town committee is supposed to be made up of interested members of the community or the commune.
It didn't seem to work that way, the way I'm looking at it.
It only doesn't work that way when people acquiesce or give up authority
to other people.
And take a hands-off approach. It'd be no different than if parents just let the kids run the house. So if or the inmates run the asylum.
Okay, on at African American Alliance on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't understand. Phyllis was there, and some other people.
That was a pretty good meeting. You talking about the after party or?
I'm working all the time you're talking, so I don't know what.
Okay, well, we meet every Saturday at the Greater Hartford African American Alliance meets every Saturday, and so the standard meeting, we record our meetings for the record, and the meeting runs from 10 to noon generally. Then after that, we have what we call the after party or the meeting after the meeting, which can go for hours. And it always goes for hours and hours and hours into the night.
Well, so the town committee that she is on is still the town committee because
the 7th District Town Committee. Yes.
So there was no vote of the people.
Oh, you're talking about the.
It was just the Connecticut Supreme Court. I haven't heard any information. I'm just talking to you.
From what I understand, that's the decision on the 7th District race was appealed, but the judgment hasn't come out as of yet, from what I understand, or that I'm aware of. The judgment may have come out, but the last I heard is that they did have the arguments. And so I guess they're waiting for the judgment. I don't know whether it was the state Supreme Court.
So this goes on and on and on until they decide to make a decision.
Right.
I mean, how hard could it possibly be?
Well,
how hard could it be?
It's not a hard decision. It's how one interprets the law. So the court, that's the job of the court, to determine whether or not the law is being followed. They don't make the law. They just determine whether or not you are in line with it.
And so it takes this. Okay.
So it takes a while. They have other things to do. Lunch, vacations, UConn basketball games. I mean, it's important things to do.
Oh, I'm glad the decision hadn't come down yet, because I was thinking, the 7th District lost its power to vote. I mean, they're just going to put one group in and leave another group.
You mean
and the people don't get
members
to vote as
of,
usual?
right.
Our votes don't count. What is it? That's what I was thinking on Saturday.
Party members' votes don't count. Because remember, you have to be a member of the 7th. You have to be a member of the Democratic Party in order to participate in the town committee selection. Mm-hmm. Non-party members can't vote. So citizens in general, only the citizens who are a part of a party can take part in.
And part of the 7th District.
And they also have to live in the 7th District. That's right. Because those are the people that are going to represent the party members in the. So there are a lot of assumptions that people make, and then there's a lot of things that people think, say, and do that really aren't. Like, average citizens get to vote in the end. Anyone who's quote unquote registered can vote in the general election, but by that time, all of the candidates have been decided upon, and they are members. They represent parties, and in a one city town, of course, you get who the party's already picked. It's quite a racket. You talk about a monopoly.
That's what I call it, a racket. I'm sorry. It didn't make no sense to me. You're part of a group of people. You're given a responsibility,
mm-hmm.
and yet you can't carry out that responsibility and stay with the group if you don't agree with the group.
Well, I don't know about that. Well, I mean, I don't know about that because I know you were a member of the town committee for a while. I have friends that were parts. I have friends and people that I know that have been parts of town committees across the city. They don't play ball. They don't play nice in the sandbox, so they're asked to leave. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of the votes. So, if you connect with enough people in the community, you can vote. You get people to vote for you. It's a numbers game.
That's what RJ always says.
It's a numbers game.
It's
if
a numbers game.
You get the votes, you on. It doesn't matter who doesn't like you. Now, if you want to go as a group and be part of the group running as a slate, and the group says, we don't like the color of your shirt. You were supposed to wear a blue shirt. You wear a red shirt. We find it highly offensive. Get out. So take your red shirt and go home. But you need them in order to stay there. So you see what I'm saying? So you gotta change your shirt. If you change your shirt if you want to stay. Right? You need us. We don't need you. We replace you with someone who's willing to wear a blue shirt.
True. That's
And that's the way to go. But if you wore a purple shirt and you had the most number of votes, they would say nothing to you. Oh, I love your purple shirt. Where can I get one? And before long, we start talking purple. Purple rain, right?
Oh, yeah. I said, how many people could I get to vote for me? Now, that's questionable. Not that I'm thinking about it, but I was just curious about it. How much?
You can't.
How much could I really do? And I was thinking about this because yesterday
mm-hmm.
I was up on Farmington Avenue and I was standing outside of my car, watching my son go into the store, and this man that I did not recognize says, "Cleo." And I'm looking at the man. I said, he obviously knows me, so I better speak. So I said, "Hi, how you doing?" I said, "You don't know me, Cleo. As many times as you fed me, you don't know me. Yeah, all that time, remember that this and remember that." I mean, he had a very pleasant face. His name seemed a little familiar, but his face I did not remember at all. And I said to myself, how many people out there remember back when I should go around and try to get on something and see if I could do it? But that's work.
No, that's the key word.
That's work. I said that's work.
That's as Arjo often talks about, and others. You gotta do the work. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
But if you can connect, if you can get people to commit to vote for you, and you can count them. You get you one of those clickers like they have at the gate when you go into the concert. All right, or if you can count, you know, solid votes, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000. I got 8,000 solid votes. My opponent has 9,000. I need to get 1,000 plus 1, or cut my opponent's votes in half. So if I get someone to run that likes my opponent but likes them more, I cut their votes in half. If I could bring their votes down by 1,500, I win. It's a numbers game.
So
it's a
this
numbers
opponent
game.
has 9,000 votes. So what you're going to do is you're going to get someone that people really like to oppose him.
Right.
And so you're going to, some people are going to go over to his side.
Right. Right. So now you start getting strategic. You gotta be careful. You run a candidate that the people that are committed to you won't vote for, because you could wind up cutting your own vote. Yeah. So if you lost 1,000 of your 8,000, you'd be down to 7,000. You see what I'm saying? The person with the most numbers wins.
But how do you know? How do you know that you lost 1,000? How would you know that?
You might not know until voting day. But if you know the constituent, if you know the people that support you, know them. Not someone like, I got you. There's a whole lot of people I got you, but that doesn't mean they're going to vote for you. I mean, they may be with you, but that doesn't mean they're going to vote for you. They're rooting for you. Like people were rooting for the Yukon women. But they can't go out there and play basketball. All they can do is root. But voting, the constituent is part of the game. They have to do their part. They have to go and actually vote. You need them on your team. You're building a team of 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 people.
So if you're a voter and you don't know what side you're on, you don't know. All you know is you're gonna vote. You're on really nobody's side, and you really don't know what you're doing, and so you go into. So those are just fly votes that could go anywhere.
They could go anywhere.
And how many? But you got to count those people, right? How many? What is the percentage of people who are just going to walk in there and say, "Oh, I didn't know it was the day to vote. Oh, what are we voting for today?"
Right.
Who are they? Yeah, I'm going to go vote. So you got to count those people too.
Well, if you can. But those are people who are they're like, you hope that you hope you don't get struck by lightning, or you hope lightning hits your power plant so you get extra energy or something like that, but they're outside of your control. So if you, once upon a time in the United States, it was baseball, apple pie, and the American way. You had a obligation to vote. Civics was taught in class.
Yes.
There was school government.
Yes.
And you voted for your class president, the class vice president.
Treasurer.
Voted for treasurer. You voted for the prom queen, the prom king.
Yeah.
All of these things were exercises in democracy. So you were engaged in the things that were necessary in order to be part of the decision-making process. So all of that has been diminished, which means that we now have a population of people who, oh, I didn't know it was voting day. Oh, well, who's on the ballot? People they're no longer participating in the process.
They took it out of the schools.
They took it out of the, but these things weren't done in a vacuum, and they weren't done by accident. These things were very, very purposeful. So and in 20 years, you wipe out the next generation coming out is disengaged.
They don't teach civics in schools anymore.
No, not like they used to. All right. So if people are disengaged, because you hear people talk, how can we get voters back engaged? It's too late. Now you're doing like evangelistic work. How are you going to make people believers in Christ? You got to go out and you got to spend time with them one-on-one and hope that they get the message and there's a spiritual revelation and they read the Bible. I mean, it's not like, it's different than if someone is raised up as a Christian from birth and that's what they know. And so there's more of a desire on their part to be in conformity to the rest of people. All right. So no one's just all of a sudden decide to go out and vote because, they're depending on the state to do what's in their best interest. And that's where they're at now. They look at the state like the state is my mom or my dad. The state as the great parent. We as the children who hope that they, will do good by us. We vote for people because they represent the party. As long as they're a Republican, I'm going to vote for them. As long as they're a Democrat, I'm going to vote for them. So when you're in the polls, you hear people say, "Who's on the ticket? Are they Democrat? Well, they got my vote." They don't even know who the person is. All right, who's on the ticket? Is he a Republican? My dad was a Republican. My dad before his dad before him, and his dad before him. When I get to heaven, if Jesus ain't a Republican, I don't want to go. So I mean, one of those kind of attitudes.
But you're saying they systematically did this.
Yeah.
This was like, who? The brain people? The brain people? Who did it? I mean, who did it to the whole country?
There are people who decide what's going to happen on a municipal level, like you decide what's going to happen in your home. It's just a bigger charge. It's a bigger on the state level, national level, and then globally. There are people who sit in rooms at conferences and concaves and make these decisions.
We're going to take civics out of the schools. We're going to not teach them how to write their name.
Right. There's someone.
We're going to take. They're not going to be able to write anymore. We can just print. Who makes a decision like that? Crazy decision like that. And what's the purpose of it?
Well, the purpose is ultimately discern. You can backward engineer. What do we have? Where we are as a society is not by accident. No more than where you wind up when you drive somewhere.
This is if you think about it.
And it's not a conspiracy. It's just it just is.
But what do you get if you do this? You get a nation full of puppets, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, right. So what does a puppet does what the hand inside it tells it to do.
Who pulls the strings? Whoever pulls the string up. The hand goes up. They pull the string this way. The hand goes up, and the head goes this way.
If you go outside, if you go downtown, like Pratt Street, If you go down town to Pratt Street, I use Pratt Street because there's no cars on Pratt Street, and you walk down the middle of Pratt Street and do something outside of what's the acceptable norm, start banging on a cymbal, people don't expect now, but you've drawn attention to yourself, and as you're banging on the cymbal, you stop and look up. Everyone on the street is going to look up. If you drop the cymbals and run, most of the people will run with you. That's just human nature. So people are instructed what to do all day, every day. And McDonald's got the fish sandwich, 2 for $2.22. Get it while it lasts. In 30 seconds, you've been instructed to go buy a fish sandwich. So everybody goes out and buys a fish sandwich because it was sold. The idea was sold to them, and so you listen to the radio, watch television, and you're sold things all day. You're instructed all day. You listen to the news in California. You listen to the news in New York. It's the exact same news. How is it possible to hear the exact same message in California as you hear in New York? Unless it's planned to do that. So you talked about cursive writing, printing. You talk about cursive writing. They took cursive writing out of the schools. Everywhere, except the elite schools, where they understand that cursive writing is more of an art form and you have to think. There's some logic in constructing, and you use the brain differently when you write cursive. There's a desire on the part of the writer to use good penmanship. So the way you operate is different than block letters. Those are very, to now where you use icons or, little emojis. You just tap on the emoji. You don't even need to know how to draw. You just tap on the thing. You don't have to know how to spell because you could talk to the computer. It'll spell it out for you. So we're becoming a society that is very dependent on others who are in positions of power and knowledge to work on our behalf. So we are hopeful that they do right by us.
And if they don't, we'll be sitting there going, duh, what are we going to do?
Right.
That is really scary.
I think it's scary.
That is really scary. That is scary.
So if you're in a tall building like the World Trade Center and you feel the building sway, the alarms all go off, and then a voice on the loudspeaker tells you everything is under control.
You're going to go back to work.
You go back to work.
Even if you see that building shaking over there.
Right, something's wrong. Well, they said we need to stay in here.
I'm not saying that. Goodbye.
Sure, you an independent thinker enough to do what what you would.
But those at the World Trade Center, there weren't everybody who believed that. Some of them people started running down the stairs.
Some people, right?
They said, because there will always be independent thinkers.
Yeah, about 1/3 of the society is always going to be rebellious and think on their own. So, how do you bring them in? You put pressure on them to make them conform, or you get rid of them one way or the other. That's all you can do. If you're because there are those entities that want to maintain control over the populace, because there's a whole lot more populace than there are folk in charge, and you don't want them coming after you.
And they won't if they can't think.
That absolutely, and they won't if they are dependent on you. So if you have to give them cake, give them cake. But they want to eat something. You have to give them something. You may have to sacrifice one of the leaders. Bobby, it's your turn.
Boom.
Throw him into the crowd. It'll rip his arms off. Make sure they can stay away from me. I mean, but in all seriousness, look what happened in Haiti. There's no government in Haiti.
And they just went awry.
There's this total anarchy and chaos. That's I have friends of mine I know people, friends. I have friends across the spectrum. I have all kinds of friends. Many of them can't be in the same space with one another. But I have some friends who are fully committed to anarchy. Tear the system down. Burn the system down and start over.
And then what? How do you start over if you have
don't.
nothing?
In my opinion, you don't. You have it's the system will collapse just as fast as when that container ship ran into the bridge and blocked all of the flow of traffic back and forth in the bay down there in Baltimore, in Maryland.
Instantly,
everything stopped. People are now out of work. The traffic can't get across the bridge. They got to go all the way around. It's a total nightmare and disaster. Or when the Evergreen blocked the Suez Canal, and traffic got tied up. So, and it's instant. So you have chaos. The sewage system would collapse. The electric system would collapse. Banking would collapse. Everything will collapse. You don't just go in and turn a key and it's on again. So, if the electric system goes down, everything in our society is built on electricity. So if you have a building in Hartford, a 15-story office building in Hartford with graffiti on the top of it. Have you seen this thing?
No.
25, is it 25 Sigourney or 2 Sigourney? The old tax building, the revenue.
Oh, yeah,
building.
I know what that, yeah.
There's graffiti on the building. Not downstairs on the door. On the very top floor. 3 window, that's 3 stories of graffiti on the top of the building on the 3 sides of the building. Windows are broken out now. We're not talking like on the ground. We're talking like from the roof down. Very intentional, right? The first thing people think, well, how did they get up there? How did they do that in the middle of the night or the day without someone seeing them? Right?
Right.
So, it's above the gaze that most people look until it's done and they see it up there. What in the world? This big graffiti. All right. So now it's just a matter of time before someone sees that and says, you know what? I can do better than that. I'm going to go downtown and tag a building. Which isn't difficult to do. You just stay in the building overnight. Then you find your way up to the roof and you jump over the side and you do your little stuff and you jump and you're gone. So so things start to deteriorate, and before long you have chaos. Now it'd be hard for the United States to get into a space like that, but I'm telling you, don't take long. Earthquake, major natural disaster.
Maybe a little shake last week, or was it this last week? Yeah.
Last week, yeah, a little tremor, 4.8. I don't know if that's considered a tremor. But 4.8 on the Richter scale, that's pretty significant. The epicenter was in New Jersey. It wasn't in New York. Like if it was in Manhattan, it would have been much different. If the epicenter would have been in Manhattan. But there's a major fault line that runs down the East Coast. Most people don't think about it because there's very little activity, which I don't know whether it's good or bad because when it happens.
That's when your apartment starts shaking. You say, what the heck? The lamp's shaking, everything's shaking,
Yeah, that's the second one they've had here, because there was one a couple years ago. I remember that one, because I thought my kids were banging the wall with their feet, because it's the only way things on the wall would sway all at the same time. I'm like, if you all don't stop, what are you all doing in there? Of course, they were much littler than they are now. And then I'm thinking, I was like, wait a minute. How could they be moving the stuff on the wall? Then it occurred to me we were in the middle of an earthquake, But,
oh, my gosh.
yeah, man. So, you got to participate in government. Your participation is what keeps things honest and...
well, not honest, but trying to be honest.
Right.
Not honest.
And imagine if the people stop participating, you're going to have total breakdown. We're not talking about pure honesty, but people are less likely to take something out of the drawer of money if they think someone's watching them. Right? So if they know no one's watching them, they might get a little sticky finger.
Oh, yeah.
They got a whole stack of these $100 bills. They ain't gonna miss one. Right?
That's right. You need to get away with it once, you're gonna do it again.
I mean, some of my group of friends, I know friends that took the preacher's offering. Let me stop.
Took the preacher's offering?
Oh, yes. The thieves come in all shapes, sizes, and spectrums. Yes. You haven't. And they preacher folk.
Yo,
please.
Oh. Child. I know that.
People are people. People are people, and that's the greatest thing about Jesus. Amen. He came to save us all.
He got a job on his hands. Doesn't he?
Sure enough, because
he has a job on his hands trying to save us. Oh my goodness!
So some people think government can save them. They're looking to government to save them, write the rules, make things even, and we need. But that is such a. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it, because that's not the nature of people to save folks.
It's not the nature of people to save people.
Right. There's always going to be a few people who are going to go out of their way and are self-sacrificing to help others. But they're very few and far between, those individuals. Most people are not interested in helping other folk. They're interested in helping themselves.
With all these charities, we did a whole lot of charities we give to all the time that are helping people, so to speak.
True. There's a lot of now. That's not to say that there's no one trying to help. I'm simply suggesting that they are few and far between. And the way that people get into positions of power would not lead one to think or believe that they're doing it because they have your best interest. There's always going to be some who are doing it for that reason, but they're few and far between. And can you trust them? You don't know that until they get there and actually deliver.
If you believe, I think that you are going to be disillusioned because you have to work with a lot of people above you, and you think that they're thinking what you're thinking, because they brought you in under thinking that they were doing things for the people. But when you find out differently, that the people just happen to get a little bit of the crumbs, or, it makes it look like they actually are trying to help the people, when that's not what it is at all. They're just trying to stay alive themselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're just trying to stay alive themselves. I don't say they're greedy people or bad people. They're just trying to stay alive themselves, and staying alive themselves are the most important thing. And the people are what help them stay alive and do what they do to bring in the money.
That's
so they can live.
Right. That's what makes police officers, firefighters, and the military, soldiers, special people. Because all of them are willing to put their lives on the line to save you. I don't think people really think about that. But this person goes to work and they don't find it robbery to risk their life. Because someone shooting at you is dangerous work. There's lots of things you could do that are dangerous, working on a high tension line, power lines and all kinds of dangerous work. But that's not the same as going into harm's way to rescue someone or to defend someone or to protect someone. And you'll see these people emerge in schools because like every school has a bully, but every school has someone that stands up to the bully. Mm-hmm. If all of the kids in school had some courage, the bully would be out of business. But most don't. But you find that there's a couple kids in the school that won't let you be bullied. I said, leave them alone. Well, now, then those are the special people. Well, let's stand up. We're not going to let you do that.
And sometimes when they stand up and say, leave them alone or do something, they end up hurt themselves.
Yes. But they're willing to do that.
They're willing to do that.
They're willing to do that. Yeah. Special people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, just make sure the special people out there have your best interest. And when they're in it for the money, that's when things start go awry.
And that's a lot of times they're in it for the money.
And then that's when they don't necessarily protect you.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. The complications and things of life. All right. Morning talk. All right, Miss Cleo.
Don't tell me it's time to.
Time just evaporated.
Oh.
Jonathan Small is here. He's on deck. He's got an interesting guest coming up at 11 o'clock. I'm quite anxious to hear from this person. He's got a actress producer.
Oh.
She runs a theater company and stuff too. So he always has interesting guests. All right. Any big plans for the week?
No, just to finish the jobs I just started and all those things that are left undone before I go back on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. To be more busy than I am right now. Mm-hmm. That's all. Just trying to get things done.
Mm-hmm. I've determined that retirement is a lie.
I believe that.
They are lying too, because it means you now have more time to do other things, and you're working and more busy when you think you've retired than you've ever been ever.
That was told to me when I was working, and I couldn't see how that could possibly be, but whew.
Now that you're not at work, you have time to do everything else.
Everything.
At least when you were at work, you only did one thing.
That's right.
You couldn't do anything else because you had to go to work.
And they didn't call my name every couple of seconds.
Right.
Oh, I used to love my name. Now I get tired of hearing it.
Cleo! All right. All right, folks, we'll take a short break. Then we will be back with Mr. Jonathan Small. It's Morning Talk. Stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. This is my favorite jazz artist. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Jay Hogarth. In the beginning, God. J. Hogarth. We recorded that at Van Gelder's studio. And it was like 5 degrees. It's the coldest day of the year. It was so cold outside, it didn't make any sense. Like you go out, put equipment in the car, and you freeze. Cold. Cold, cold, cold. Oh yeah. Smooth jazz. All right. So how you doing, Jonathan?
Doing fine. It's certainly not cold today. You saying it's cold.
Yeah, I heard it's supposed to go up to what, 75 degrees?
75, yeah. It's going to feel like summertime today. So doing fine. Congratulations to UConn men's basketball team and South Carolina women's basketball team.
Yeah, yeah.
Both states should be extremely proud.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we got a winner. This is sad that UConn didn't win, but
you mean the women
winning,
didn't win? Yeah, yeah.
We almost had a double team wins, But
yeah, I don't know if the women's would have beat South Carolina, but who knows? Anything is possible. Mm-hmm. I think South Carolina was on a mission, and Dawn Staley is really now putting South Carolina to the kind of where UConn used to be at.
You can only be at the top for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the men, we kind of knew they were going to win it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I told you last week, if they played a game, and I don't know if they played their best game last night, but they played good enough. I mean, they can just wear you down after a while. I guess the size and the athleticism that they possess, you just can't go. UConn is a hard team to battle 40 minutes straight. Even when they're not playing their best basketball. Because even the game last week, no, not last week, Saturday, was close up into 12 minutes in the second half. And then UConn just went on a spurt. So, it's like I said, it's not easy staying to win back-to-back NCAA men's tournaments. It's something, I think the last team that done it, they say, was Florida. So that's not an easy task to win back-to-back.
Now, UConn's done that before, though, right? Back-to-back.
The women has done it before, not the men.
Oh, okay.
I think the women might have won 3 or 4 back-to-back.
Yeah.
But the men has never won back-to-back up until now.
Oh, okay.
Really, they got to be excited. They're up in Stores, Connecticut.
Absolutely. I guess they'll be having a parade here in Hartford.
Is it already set, the parade?
I don't think it's set yet, but I'm sure it will be.
Okay. So either downtown Hartford or up in Stores. Either one. Well, they usually have it downtown,
They
don't
usually
they?
have it downtown.
Okay.
Yeah,
They might celebrate up in Stores.
I'm sure they'll celebrate, yeah. Tear down some light
Tear down some light poles.
Yeah, it's just exuberance, when your favorite state team wins and you destroy the campus. That's within this. It's within the realm of acceptable norms.
Right. Yeah.
Burn it down. We won.
They won it. Yeah. So, yeah, excellent job for both programs. You got to give both schools a lot of credit, to go all the way and everything. So, unfortunately, the game was on cable television. I thought the game was going to be on Channel 3. Next thing you know, it's on cable. So that shows you how things have really changed.
Yeah, Turner. Right? TBS?
TBS?
I forgot Turner even existed until then.
Yeah. I thought he sold out the operation. I Turner.
I don't know. Is Ted even alive?
Yeah, I think so. Ted Turner.
Alexa, is Ted Turner alive?
Ted Turner is still alive. He is 85 years old.
Oh, he's young.
Yeah. He kind of established the cable presence with CNN. You remember when they first got started?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ted Turner, heavy hitter.
Heavy hitter.
But
I think they sold out the Time Warner.
You should get Ted Turner.
That's true. Ted Turner's a big man.
Yeah. If anyone can get Ted Turner, it's Jonathan Small.
I can make an attempt. Make an attempt. Ted Turner. Yeah, he go back a long way, with TBS. I think he used to own the Atlanta Braves, too.
Yeah, Morton Downey Jr., remember him?
Yeah, I remember him.
That WOR in New York, right?
Yeah, he was out of New York. I forgot the station.
I think WOR New York. He was actually. I think it's actually in New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
But but the Morton Downey, the talk show with the big mouth.
The big mouth sign, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was huge.
He was strong content, man.
Yeah, that was back in the dawn of the. Everything was changing. I remember those days. Now everything is internet.
That's true. That was kind of like the last phase of the cable. Well, not saying the cable is obsolete, but like you say, the transition of the internet, and social media was non-existent, or if the internet was just getting started at that time. Yeah. But certainly social media.
Yeah, social media was public access.
Public access, right?
Yeah, the early social media was public access television. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what we was talking about last week with Lorna.
Yeah, public access and also CB radio.
Yeah, that's obsolete now. I don't think I can't tell last when I heard anything about a CB radio. I guess the truck.
Unless you're a trucker.
A trucker, yeah. But that was popular with shows like BJ and the Bear and them type of elements with the trucking shows. But a lot has really changed with CBs, radios, and everything. So, any kind of interesting news stories locally, nationally that you think is interesting? I think Boeing had some other. Well, no, it wasn't Boeing. It was another air.
It was Boeing.
Craft. It was Boeing. I thought it was a
piece of cowling came off.
Okay, so it was Boeing. I thought it was another.
Yeah.
That's the second or third. That's the third one, isn't it?
And might even be the fourth.
Within the last 6 months.
Yeah, Boeing's. Boeing used to be seen as. You get on a plane and you see Pratt Whitney engines, and on a Boeing plane, you knew you were good to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they better keep an eye. I mean, obviously, not only keep an eye, but do something about these things, and everything. So,
it's unfortunate. You have these streaks.
Yeah.
Things like has happened, but it's not. It's not a good look when pieces of the plane are falling off.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not. Let me ask you a question, Stan. I mean, I don't believe you, and I haven't technically, but I lived close to the public housing projects. Do you think that's we've kind of eradicated public housings where people are stacked on top of each other? You think with all of the HUD funding that has come through now, that's kind of non-existent with the type of housing structure that we've changed from public housing to the type of housing that we have now that used to be public housing?
You mean in general or in Hartford?
Well, in general, because it's all over.
I don't know enough about public housing and those structures to speak on it. I mean, once upon a time, you had the towers, but I don't know if those are. I just don't know.
You don't know? Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it looks like a lot has come down, though. I mean, if you want to say locally here, you might got some small versions, but I think most of your public housing has been pretty much, if not torn down, redeveloped.
We got the sand, but that's not. But there's a couple. It's got to be like 8 or 9 floors.
Yeah, I thought it was 10. Well,
10.
Yeah, one part was 10.
And then you have some senior buildings that are kind of towery. But there's nothing like what in Hartford. There's nothing like what it once was.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
You don't know
like
enough.
Dallas, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago. I don't know if that is still a prevalent way that people are. I just don't know.
Okay. Well, with public housing, how it used to be, you would have to agree, even if you don't know directly, there's been a lot of changes of at least bringing down and tearing down, saying that that's not a good structure for people to live and function under.
Any kind of condensed living style has the potential to produce very stressful living environment. It depends on the society, because there's other places where there are a lot of towers and you have luxury condos.
Well, that's totally different.
And the people aren't all
Yeah, but a luxury condo, what you're not going to allow things. The management company is not going to allow.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. So it's not because they're towers that make it. The tower isn't the problem. It's the societal norms of the individuals that are living in that structure under the, dealing with the pressures of life and poverty and all those things. I don't want to. Because if the problem is the tower, then the tower is going to be a problem for everybody everywhere.
Right. Well, somebody told me a long time ago, public housing didn't destroy people. People destroy public housing. But I still look at some structures, how public housing was laid out in some scenarios that really wasn't the best way to function. But I think it was more of people damaging and taking advantage of certain circumstances. Now, there was a lot of other factors too that caught up with older housing that wasn't kept up, and you got to look at that as contributing problems too. So, but most of it, obviously, when you're dealing with what was going on, I mean, I live right behind. I didn't live in public housing. I live right behind Stowe Village, and people say that wasn't the best. I mean, it wasn't safe to go through as an unknown person at nighttime. It wasn't. You had to be careful in the daytime. Stealing, larcenies, and I tell you one of the things.
Those are people problems, not.
Well, that's what the person
problems.
just said. People might have been more the factor of destroying. Damaging public housing than public housing destroying people. And that's another sign that sometimes people say, you put a group of people in a pig pen, what do you expect? People have looked at it from other different perspectives. Some of your best people have come through circumstances, even probably worse than that. And so you don't want to put the blame game on, but it was just Charter Oak. Since you wanted to say, you probably have a better understanding of at least these projects here locally. Charter Oak, Bellevue Square, was considered dangerous.
But at one time they were considered very, very nice too.
Right.
And there was community and there was love. There were a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So, there's a reason why things got the way they were. And I think one has to take all those things into consideration.
Well, the thing about housing in general and how housing is moved, it's really being redeveloped nicely. The new forms of housing, whatever you want to call it, Stan, if you want to call it public housing or subsidized housing or just row houses, town houses, the new form is looking very nice. The offset issue is who can afford to live in these places, because you're still going to have people that have to live someplace, and tearing down the worst sections of housing and building up new housing and making it look more developed. I mean, it's nice to go through Village by Park River where Westbrook Village used to be. I went there yesterday, and within the rental office, I was parked there for about 15, 20 minutes. I seen about 6 different people come in there looking to speak to someone in the leasing office. So people want to move. And see, I think, Stan, the average person wants, and may even need too, but definitely want nice quality housing.
I think everybody wants nice quality housing. What people want and what people wind up with and get are two different things.
Yeah, well, the need and the affordability and the restrictions, those are the factors that you got to still tie into. Now, I think you have to make it stricter though. You just can't allow anybody to move into a particular place with no requirements, just because you need a place to live. Because if people feel like they can just come in and do what they want to do, and that was some of the realities, unfortunately, of public housing in the past, is that it was very cheap to move into public housing projects. You couldn't they weren't doing a good job at restricting or putting serious requirements, and things got out of control, Stan, and it got totally havoc and reckless. And that was a big part of the problem, when you get people who don't care about the properties and do whatever that they want to do, and there's no consequences for it. Those are contributing factors too. And that's not just public. That's just any form of housing, Stan, that you're going to find that at. So I think it's a serious quality issue in life of housing and how people function and where people live and what they're going through, and how
these are huge, overarching, complicated issues, because there's a whole lot of different things going on. What you're talking about, individual issues, housing issues, an issue of affordable housing, an issue of access to housing, an issue of personal wealth and income. And so there's a lot of different things that contribute to the quality of life and the style of housing one has. Be nice to have an Oprah mansion, but if you ain't making Oprah money,
right,
you don't have an Oprah mansion. So if you just want a regular place that you want to live, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing inherently wrong with any of those things. But if you're talking about providing that for people, I don't think that. I think it's up to people to go out and get those things, not for some entity or some agency or government or whatever to provide all this stuff for people.
Well, we do have your housing authorities that
you should have a housing authority when the city or state is providing the housing. Someone has to manage it. That's the job of the housing authority. But are they now in the business of providing, housing for everyone? And it would seem to me that the housing authority would be responsible for housing people who are falling through the cracks, don't have the means, resources, or mental attitude and stability to be able to house themselves in any other capacity. Other than that, it's on them to get the housing, not the housing authority.
Yeah, well, I think everything is connected. I think, income guidelines, because we can't.
The income guidelines are for those who are applying at the housing authority.
Right. Well, a private owner, some people like the free market system where the owner can just charge anything that the market.
You talk about a rental.
A rental, yeah. Well, or rental, or it could be trying to buy a home too. I mean,
right. Why shouldn't you? If you got 120,000 people living in Hartford, you want as much money as you can get for your house.
Yeah.
The only guideline is, do you have the money?
Well, I think the other problem is, like you stated before, it's just not enough housing right now with the low inventory to keep up with the demand, whether it's ownership or rental.
That means you have to go someplace where there's housing.
Yeah, that's true.
People need housing. They also need food. So if you're living out in the West and you're a self-sufficient individual and you hunt, and there's no food out there, someone's supposed to just drop a deer in your pack. You have to go to where the deer are, or the beaver, or squirrel.
Well, I mean, downtown they're building housing. I don't know if it's
downtown office buildings and office spaces being converted into housing.
Okay,
so that the property owners don't take a whole total bath in losing on their investment, and the bank take a bath for folk defaulting on money that's owed to them. That's not because they're interested in providing housing for anybody.
Yeah,
they're trying to protect their investment.
Okay, so
the city needs the tax revenue from the grand list, which they use. The taxes from the wealth of those buildings, the value of those buildings. So if no one's renting them, they're not going to collect any money. So who's going to pay for the public housing you're talking about?
Yeah, well, whatever luxury housing, because there's some mixed units too. You're going to see some affordable rate.
You have to put luxury. You have to put luxury housing in those buildings downtown. People don't want to talk about it because they think that downtown housing should be given to those that are in financial straits. The financial straits people can't pay for nothing. So where's the high rent gonna come from? It's not coming from United Technologies or Sears or some other corporate entity. Schmeckle and Steelem.
Right.
The law firm of Schmeckle and Steelem. With their 300 employees litigating for the biochemical nuclear industry to make sure that things are all doctored up and T's are crossed, I's are dotted. Law firm is not down there no more. So who's going to pay the rent? Where's this money coming from? The poor?
Yeah.
The poor gets its money from taxes. Where's the tax people get their money from? The government taxes who? Schmeckle, and steal them.
Yeah.
So you put a building filled with people who are not going to pay rent next month.
Right. Yeah, you don't want that.
So, so you have to put housing down there from people who can pay the rent so that the taxes can be collected to help offset some of that homelessness that people think you're just going to throw the homeless people in there.
So that's a good thing then, converting former office space buildings into rental units. You look at that as a good thing or necessary? I guess necessary from what you
It's a necessity to help stabilize, and whether it's a good thing or not remains to be seen. It's only a good thing if you can get some long-term tenants.
Right.
Because you start paying $2,000 and $3,000 a month, you can buy a house anywhere. So you're there for a while and then you leave.
Well, the only thing they keep missing is you can turn these into condos where people can buy. I guess people can buy. You can develop the building into a condo form as well.
If you like living in a condo where you just, you own an apartment.
That's what it would come down to. Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You own an apartment. It'd be different if you could get the top floor of the Bushnell Towers and tear out a couple of walls.
No, but you do have condos. It's kind of a combination of an apartment and where it can kind of feel like a townhome, and it'll feel a little bit more spacious than a regular apartment. So you can develop a building into a condo. Yeah, we talk
about people with some money.
Some money, yeah. I'm talking about that.
Yeah.
Not no low. See, I think the thing is we keep trying to break the categories. Low income. We see people trying to change the name. It used to be you called a certain class low income. People that
don't make a lot of money.
Right, but they want to switch that to what? Affordable.
You call it what it is. You call it whatever you want, but it is what it is, no matter what you call it. So to get in folk headspace, all this headspace stuff that folk is getting into.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
But as you said, even whoever is the lowest palm criminal you've said this before, gotta live someplace. So
but the broke criminal has to.
The broke criminal.
There's a lot of wealthy criminals. They're not living.
Okay.
So let's make sure we're talking. Yeah.
That's true. But whoever's destructive and doing damage on a day-to-day, they have to live someplace.
Right.
The problem I think in a small city like Hartford is you could find yourself living on the same street as a working class individual with a criminal, a nuisance.
You can find that in West Hartford too. It just
West Hartford is a little
upscale
bit
criminals.
upscale criminal,
but they're criminals.
Yeah, but loud noise. Yeah, it's criminal. But mattresses on sidewalks and it's a different level of type of quality of life.
The mattresses on sidewalks are not put there by Hartford residents. Those are put there by non-Hartford residents who see fit to come and drop their trash in our community.
Okay.
Those are criminals.
Those are criminals too. And I believe the leadership is getting stricter on those. Anybody seen dumping?
Anyone
bulk.
seen dumping? If you could track it, hunt them down.
Well, believe it or not, I had bought a pair of tires back in September, and I still got 1 or 2 tires that I still can't find a way to get rid of. I guess I would have to pay now, because I'm not going to be a problem in dumping anywhere. So I got 2 tires still in my
truck. Dump it over on Scarborough.
No, you don't want to do that. Nah.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. But you don't want that type of element. People dumping anything anywhere. And that's what sometimes you used to see.
Call up the city and ask them what to do with old tires. Or I'm sure all of the tire stores will let you know what you do with them.
Yeah, they was going to charge me when I got the tires replaced.
You have to pay them. You have to pay them for disposal fee.
Right.
Folks want to save a nickel on a gallon of gas.
That's true. So I need to get rid of them though. Keep them in my trunk for 6 months. That doesn't make any sense, But you see how things can escalate. People just don't care about tires and stuff. Just throw them any place. That's what you used to always see all over the place. Tires everywhere, refrigerators.
Right, just dump it in the city.
Dump it in the city, yeah.
Cross the city line and dump it. That, there's just a.
But that's the point about you can blame economic and political factors, but there's still a responsibility that people, and the factors like you just mentioned, people from the outside coming in, dumping mattresses and other. I thought it was just people that lived at a particular place. They just threw it there.
Generally, people don't dump illegal trash in front of their house.
Well, they don't. A lot of you got a high rent. I mean, people who rent in properties and they're gonna leave and they just forget about it. So, if you own the property, and it's another factor too that people looked at. I mean, it's not a justifiable reasons. People say, well, people own something, they care about it more than when they just a renter. But I don't think that speaks for everybody.
No, it does not. That sounds like something someone says when they're trying to sell you on the fact that we need to develop homes that people can then own because they'll care more about it. There's a lot of people who own houses that, one, don't have the money to fix them up, two, don't care because they're not into maintaining and maintenance. The roof gets bad, it leaks, this, that, and the third. They don't want to spend money on maintenance and the upkeep of their house. So just because somebody owns something does not, by any stretch of imagination, say that they're going to care for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know one thing has been stated. Usually when you work for something, you value it more than if it's just given to you with no strings attached.
That's true.
When you sweat for something, you look at it a little bit differently.
That's true.
But if you're somebody gonna give you $1,000 and just say you need $1,000 here, you take it, nothing, no strings attached. So there's all factors. I mean, I don't know what is the top priority over one thing. I mean, 1 week it could be this issue, another week it could be another issue. So there's no room for issues.
Well, you bring up a good, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, a lot of these things, I guess you can't oversimplify this stuff because it's very complex. But if one were to break it down, it would seem to me that there's a difference. That the fine line or the dividing line is between is who is responsible for how people behave, them or the society around them.
Yeah.
I guess if people don't want to take personal responsibility for where they are and where they need to get, then it becomes the society's fault that they're there, or the society's fault that they can't get to the next place. And I think that's going to be an age-old argument that never ends. And it depends on what side of the coin you're on.
Well,
you know, I think it's maybe a slight combination of the two.
Well, you know the old saying, the liberals look at it, as you just said, it's society's problem. They need to do a better job. The conservatives saying it's the individual's responsibility. So the liberal movement, you remember the TV shows like Maude? She was a true liberal. And Archie Bunker was the conservative and everything. So they had a tremendous friction.
Yeah.
And,
well, Archie was conservative, but in addition to his conservatism, he was a bigot.
A bigot.
So, you know, the two don't go hand in hand.
Go hand in hand, yeah.
You know, the two don't go hand in hand.
Okay. A bigot, yeah.
He was a bigot.
He was a bigot.
Yeah. They didn't make him a nice conservative. They made the conservative a bigot.
And Maud was kind of the nice. She was concerned with the maid, Esther Rove. She wanted her to feel comfortable in her home.
Right.
Now we're going way back,
but see, there are plenty of liberal bigots. You never see the bigot on TV being a liberal, but there's plenty of liberals that are bigots and racists.
Right. But I would like to believe I'm a moderate. Mm-hmm. I think I can lean towards the left. I can lean towards the right. Mm-hmm. So there's a moderate classification too, right?
Yeah. You're kind of like in the middle.
The middle, yeah.
You're in the middle.
I don't know exactly where you are. But
I am a pragmatist. I'm a pragmatist who has more conservative leanings. But I'm a pragmatist. What is most effective to get what is necessary done? Mm-hmm. So, you know, pragmatists are not there. It's hard to put them in a box because they're going to do what is the most practical thing to be done in the greater good.
And that's not a moderate though, the practice. No. That's totally different.
It may be that the decision the pragmatist makes may wind up being moderate. It could be liberal, it could be conservative. So people don't like that because you're all over the place. You know.
Yeah.
You're where you need to be for the moment.
But if somebody came to you and saying, "Well, we need to advocate a way for people, I guess to have the social service net system," are you in favor of more additional funds for food stamps? Are you in favor of more Section 8 housing vouchers?
See, I'm not. Those are hard for me to process. Those things depend upon the need of the individual.
Okay.
So you don't want to have anyone suffer and fall through the cracks. What can we do to help you? But on the other hand, you don't want to incentivize people who could otherwise do good, but because they're giving it away for free, why should I pay?
Pay, right. So you got to
use that money for something else. You know, I mean, so,
yeah.
You know, we need to meet the needs of the people. There are more than enough resources to meet the needs, not the wants.
Of the people, right.
Of the people. Some folk just want to sit around and smoke a blunt, get high, and chill.
Right.
That's not. Go ahead, but no, I'm not paying for it.
Right. So I don't even know if you put your response as a conservative. I guess you would say that individual.
Well, I'm pro-life.
Pro-life, yeah.
Those are things that people consider a conservative.
Right.
Right. I think children have a right to be born.
Oh yeah, that's a big issue. Abortion. That's true. Yeah. So
I have friends that are, you know. I do have friends that are pro-abortion. They're, you know, and I use that term on purpose. There are people who are not. They wouldn't consider themselves pro-abortion. They're pro-choice. That's what. Yeah.
Pro-choice.
I've quite a few friends that are pro-choice, and I have some people that I know who are pro-abortion.
Right.
Think nothing of it, and why shouldn't you be able to get one? They just so it's how people process stuff.
Yeah. And those are real tough societal issues. Since Roe versus Wade, those are real heavy issues.
Well, they're heavy issues because they're contentious issues and the desire of other folks to control other people's lives. I cannot give birth.
Yeah.
I will never be in a position where I have to determine whether or not I need an abortion because I'm a male.
Right.
Men cannot have children. So they don't give birth to children, though they do father children.
So you would rather just say keep it up to the woman, the one. I mean, how do you look at it now?
Ultimately, it's going to be the choice of the woman.
Right.
Because she's the only one that can make the choice. It's her choice to be made. And so I think you would reasonably make an argument why she should do one thing, no different than any other arguments that are made in life about deep life decisions. But when you start legislating other people's behavior, there's an effort to control those individuals. And now there are religious reasons, there's moral reasons, there's ethical reasons. I think all of those things are to be considered when an individual is trying to make a decision. But those are things when you start, if it was up to me, government would stay out of those things. To me, that's not within the realm of government.
That's not a government decision.
Right. The government is now trying to legislate behavior. When that's let me retract that, because there are a lot of decisions that legislate and hope to modify behavior, but or that government may. Some of those things are necessary, some of them aren't, in my opinion.
Well, I listened on the radio this morning, Gary Bryant, and they was concerned, talking again about crime and how, America is just too lenient on crime. They was making comparisons to some countries where if you got caught stealing twice, your hand would get chopped off. You rape a woman, castration. Now those are real brutal.
Right. You were caught stealing, not once but twice,
right.
And then you were caught raping somebody. Now you're in full control of the outcome of both of these things.
Yeah.
Don't rape people and don't steal.
Yeah.
There's a consequence for these actions. If you know the consequence for stealing something is they're gonna cut your hands off, and you stole anyway, you're willing to deal with the consequences.
Yeah. But they're saying the United States would never go in that direction.
The thing that makes the United States great is that you're, in theory, innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
That's the difference. In a lot of other countries, you are guilty and you must establish your innocence.
Oh, right.
You see what I'm saying? So we value the process to prove your guilt. Enough that from time to time, guilty people go free.
Right.
But it's better than innocent people being jailed or terminated because of something that they did not do.
Right, and that has happened many times.
Yes, because no system is perfect. But I'd rather have the presumption of innocence on my side when stopped and arrested than automatic guilt. Now that is shifting to where your high profile, important people are guilty before trial. And when they go down, the rest of us don't stand a chance.
Right.
And I don't think people see the big picture here. When you start, home invasions of high profile people like presidents and other celebrities, and they're guilty by default, that means then that little Bobby running across the street is probably guilty, so we should shoot him.
Right.
And it's a clean shoot. Well, he thought he was guilty. What do you want him to do? He did the right thing under the circumstances. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's a courtroom where guilt is determined. It's not to be determined by the police officer or the public, for that matter, unless the public is doing it in a courtroom. I think those are valuable things that we need to have.
Well, capital punishment, that was brought up. Actually, Connecticut, we have capital punishment in our state. It's just we rarely utilize it. We're not like Texas. I mean, they don't fool around. They'll do.
Yeah, don't do capital crimes in Texas.
Yeah, you don't.
Don't murder people in Texas.
Right.
You could be killed.
Killed, yeah.
Right. See, it always amazes me that the discussion is built around the penalty, not the crime. You did something wrong.
Right. So we have to determine
Yeah, so let's get back to basics here. Stop doing wrong. Don't rob people. Don't pillage. Don't rape. Don't embezzle.
Yeah.
If you don't do these things,
yeah,
you don't have to worry about stuff.
You strengthen up, and I'm not saying I'm in favor of. I could be in favor of chemical castration, but that's even heavy too.
To me, that's a little on the light side.
I
believe in old school.
Oh, you
stoning.
You like the late Dr. Asa guy.
Stone them.
Yeah. So
they get the town together. Everybody gets a stone, and everyone gets to throw one. He was raping your little girl. So, that to me is not something you get well, he was under No. These are crimes that you have to really be thinking about.
But Stan, that wouldn't be politically correct for you as running for office.
I'm not running for office, and I don't need to be politically correct. I could give a damn what people think. Now, you know me better than that.
Yeah. But I thought most politicians got to be careful.
I'm no longer a politician.
You're no longer a politician. Right.
Right.
So that's pretty, I never knew you felt that way about
I've been doing this television program for a long time. And before I started running, this is the things I would say. I would answer the question. I'm not out there on a promoting.
Right. But
if someone were to ask me, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, you don't get a second chance when you rape somebody. Are you guilty?
Yeah.
That's what needs to be established. And all care has to be given to the process that determines whether or not someone is guilty.
Right.
But if they are guilty, the Bible's real clear on what to do with folk that rape people.
Thou shalt not rape. Yeah.
There's no commandment that says thou shalt not rape.
Oh, there's no commandment? Yeah.
No, but the rapist gets stoned.
Ooh, that's rough.
It's not rough.
So somebody raped somebody, they're found guilty. Instead of them going to prison, they need to be stoned them. I never heard you make that statement before. I don't know. All the years I've been knowing you.
Mark the time and date. It's on the internet. It will be there forever. If you are guilty of raping somebody,
that's your biblical belief.
Stone. I'm not talking about, she's pissed off at you and you were out dating and then you scorned the poor woman and now she's charging you with rape. That's different.
Okay. Or statutory rape.
Right. We're talking about the violent act of
rape. Yeah, you stone that person.
Stone.
So forget about chemical castration.
Yeah.
That's heavy. But could you imagine if that ever gets passed? How that would look.
They have stoning in other countries, and rape is down dramatically.
And so that does work. Towards
Yeah.
reducing rape. Yeah,
right. Men would think differently if men were being raped regularly.
Yeah, and you go to prison sometime that can't happen. So you're right about that. I don't know if that's gonna ever. I don't think that ever get passed in our country, but that is something to look at. Rape. But that's your biblical beliefs towards that. You said that comes from the Bible.
I guess it is my biblical beliefs because the way we think is centered in something. There's a position from which people establish their worldview. But yeah.
So we got to get. So that means you are in favor of getting tougher on crime. That's what they was talking about this morning.
I have no problem
getting tougher.
Being tough on crime. I've always been tough on because there's no reason for criminals.
Yeah. Well, if you kill a police officer, they can say that could be justifiable for you to be found for capital punishment.
If you kill another human being.
Yeah, but that doesn't always carry the same weight.
Well, that's because because people decide to make one individual more valuable than another. But all life is precious.
Yeah.
So therefore, there is a prohibition to taking someone else's life.
An eye for an eye.
And so homicide, murder, is a crime in the scriptures that is punishable by death.
That's what was stated on the radio show this morning about
Right.
that goes into the biblical term.
Right. The caveat to that I would accept is if someone wants to stand in your place.
Oh, okay.
So let some of these liberal folk, when it comes to murder, you feel that way? Would you be willing to be stoned in his place?
So
See, folk talk a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
when it comes right down to it, because if we're going to get into scripture, Jesus was willing to stand in everyone else's place. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Some folks say, well, that's that scripture. No. He put his body where his mouth was. Folk talk a good game.
right.
That's what they do. They talk. But then when it comes to actual action,
So, from your biblical perspectives and your biblical beliefs, we could change our legislation laws.
laws are not built on biblical
They're not
beliefs.
yeah.
Laws are built on the will of the people
People, right.
or the will of those in charge, one or the other.
What-
And so, the people may be very willing to be more forgiving and liberal. That is their right. Now, I wouldn't, as an elected official, impose my will
Yeah.
on. I'm real good at being able to carry water. If that's what the people want and that's my job, then, like I told you, I am a pragmatist.
That's what I was saying about, okay, you're running for elected office and you're trying to win office and you're talking about stoning people to death. I don't think anybody's going to get elected.
No, I'm not talking about stoning people to death. If it was left up to me. See, I'm, and I think you'll find this from all people who are pragmatists. I am willing to tell you what I think. The lying scumbag politician will lie to your face. Then when they get elected, do what they want. See, that's the difference when you're dealing with a pragmatist. We don't have a problem telling you what we think.
Yeah, Stan, hate to cut you, but don't we have to get ready for another
Absolutely.
show? Yeah, I don't want to. Usually I'm the
Right.
one. I guess
Yeah,
I got
usually,
you going.
Usually Jonathan.
Yeah,
I have to
but
tell.
I
I
wanna-
try and wheel Jonathan in.
But I guess we hit what they call it, hit a hot spot for you or something. It's something.
No, you just maybe I'm caught up in the conversation. with you, that's all.
I'm glad I learned this about you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right, my friends, we're out of time. Thanks to Cleo Duke-Wright for coming in this morning. Of course, Jonathan Small, he's here as well every Tuesday.
Yes.
Interesting conversation. All right. We will see you guys next week. Stay tuned for Jonathan Small at 11 o'clock with a special guest. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Ciao, ciao.